So basically, I'm doing some geography revision. So my first geography exam is a week's time, and then the next one's a week on Friday. So the one that's in a week's time is this one on rivers, population, cold environments and energy issues. And the other one is on the field work. So this is part of the field work here with the map of rivers location, which I need to remember. All the different kind of things, open moorland, and then as you get down you get a few farms, and you know, there's the road coming in, spanning off, and all the different stream orders. So it's stream order 3 by site 1, stream order 4 by site 8, and by site 9 and 10 it's stream order 5 with more kind of coming in. And then this little kind of bit here before 9 and 10 is up here, which is 560 metres along. You always need to remember your north arrow, which it doesn't have an N on it, but I will put that. And also this. This is also for the second one, the definitions, these important definitions. So probably a question will come up about one of these things here. No, this will be in the first exam, sorry. And so you've got this one here, like about might ask when soil moisture recharge happens. You know, it happens in winter, or moisture utilisation, when moisture is used up, and that is in summer months. It's the same with deficit, because the outputs are higher than the inputs. Soil moisture surplus is in winter, because that's when the ground becomes more saturated and there's more rain, and field capacity is basically saturated ground, which you can get, there's a higher chance of it if there is, well, clearly if there's a lot of precipitation, but also if there's deforestation, impermeable ground, steep sides that allow the water to get there faster. So things that will saturate the soil quicker, and maybe people have built on it and made the ground impermeable. Obviously loss of vegetation, things like that. Okay, important statistics. These are for the second one, because you need to remember these. And basically saying this thing here, which I can't remember, no, it's like a CA or something like that. It's, anyway, so it's 99% something, but I'll have to look that up now. So it's saying that these two are true hypotheses because they are 99%, and this one here is a false hypothesis because it's below 95%. Now these are for the first exam. This is about the Cumbria flood and the Pakistan flood. Sometimes it asks you a 15-mark question comparing the two. This one got international aid as well as national and local, but this one only got local and national aid. More so local, because the national aid was money from the government. Difference is like with the Pakistan one is it took a long time to get aid, and this one didn't. They had more rescue boats and things like that, and they only had 1 death, and the Pakistan flood had 1,700 deaths. But it did affect a fifth of Pakistan, where this only affected kind of a smaller area. But this was an 80-year flood, and this was a 1,000-year flood. Although the 80-year flood had more of an effect, because it's just the way it works, because they have monsoons. So even though it was only an 80-year flood, it had more of an effect than the Cumbria's 1,000-year flood. So we'll move on to more river kind of stuff. So here we have about rejuvenation, depositional and erosional features. So depending on the colour they are in is depending on what they are. So the erosional are potholes, rapids, waterfalls. Meanders are classed as erosional and depositional, and oxbow lakes. So the depositional are levees, floodplains, river estuaries, mudflats, braided channels, birds' foot, arcuate and cuspate deltas, and the rejuvenation are sea cliffs, nick point waterfalls, river terraces, and entrenched and ingrown meanders. And they were usually rejuvenation because they're closer to the sea, and what happens is when the water from the river hits the sea, it drops in velocity massively, and that's kind of how these things are kind of created. So the examples for the ingrown and entrenched meanders are in River Wear and River Wye. The one for the Nick Point waterfall is River Skogar in Iceland. And the River Terraces one is in the River Thames. So you can get paired trenches, or trenches terraces, or unpaired terraces. So these are the deltas here. The deltas got their own little page right just like the first half. So it's basically, this is the one that usually you get asked to draw as a bird-foot delta. But this is how they form, so it's a bottom set, and then you get the fore set, and then you get your top set. This is the different case studies. So we have the Three Gorges Dam. So we've got the negatives and the positives of it. And that was in the Yangtze River. And then we have the River Skern, the positives and the negatives. For some reason I swapped them around. So the positives are these and the negatives are these. Yeah, don't know why I did that. So these are the other ones here on that sheet. So we have the potholes, and these are the pictures I took on the trip. And we have the rapids here. So these are quite nice pictures. Nice bit of explanation on how they are formed with the eddies, which is an abrasional process because it's the rocks kind of eddying in the water on the rock, which erodes it away. And this is more to do with population. And this is the demographic transition model. So you've got your high fluctuating because the birth rate and death rate are fluctuating. Early expanding in the second one because birth rate's above death rate. Late expanding because birth rate's still above death rate but it's starting to decrease. And then we have low fluctuating with birth rate and death rate, although they don't really fluctuate, it's what it's called. And then decline, which is like this because it's not really happened yet, but it's where death rate goes ahead of birth rate. And here, this green one is your total population, so you can see it increases quite rapidly going into the second one, and then third one it more levels out before declining if you go into 5. And these are your little pyramids, almost kind of linking in with this, but more kind of detailed and what they're about. So stage 1, you have your higher birth rate, your high death rate, and your short life expectancy. Stage 2, you still have a high birth rate, but there's a fall in death rate and slightly longer life expectancy. So it's either side, you have your male and your female, because they are always separated. So in stage 3, you have a decline in birth rate, low death rate, more people living longer in old age. From what I'm aware, I think it was Kenya went into kind of stage 2, stage 3. Was it? Oh no, I think they're in stage 2 because they have a higher birth rate, but they have quite a. Was it when they must have gone from stage 1 to stage 2 because they had a high death rate, but the death rate is starting to decrease a bit because of I'm not sure whether they went into stage 3. Oh. And then we have stage 4, which is a low birth rate, low death rate, high dependency ratio, I think. Yeah, so basically a lot of old people and young people, because they're the dependent ones who generally don't earn longer life expectancy. I'm not saying obviously, not everybody in that age will not earn, but it's just the generalised kind of thing. And then stage 5 is where you have the low and falling birth rate, falling fertility rate, and ageing population. So that's what you could say about China. That's one of the case studies. They have an ageing population because obviously with the one-child policy they didn't have enough children to replace the adults. Obviously that isn't quite what they were heading for because they needed to reduce their population after reaching 1 billion. So at the moment they have an ageing population. Although they're not in a decline, if they'd carried on they probably would have ended up in a decline by about 2050. But they will have an ageing population, but now that it's been reduced kind of with the thing, it's quite interesting, learning about it, how you'd have people watching out, and you get offered a lot, like free nursery and things like that if you only had one child, but if you had another one then you'd have all that money taken back. So yes, this is my revision door of geography, and actually I'm glad that I did this video because I kind of learnt a bit at the same time. Yes, so my heart beats out. Amen. Bye.